And that's what you mentioned initially, the anta yantra, this inner journey, this inner exploration of introspection, contemplation, of discovering these inner worlds, which is undervalued because we tend to be very externalized in our approach through the major senses, mostly visual beings. We're interested in seeing, experiencing all the tangible stuff. I remember with my meditation teacher in a new place, we were exploring as community members the surroundings, nature and cliffs and ocean and amazing. And then I remember asking him, like, yeah, have you been to this place yet? And to that amazing there beach and so on. He's like, no, I was meditating. I only went here and there, but inside I had some very deep journeys.
Wow, interesting.
The inner unfolding, of course, which as beginners we tend to underestimate. Kind of like it was like he's just sitting at home and meditating there. It's like missing out or something. But no, with more experience on the path, we understand like, wow, this is where it's at. I was just recently sharing with some students how we underestimate this inner world. We have the famous 8 limbs of yoga, the Yama Niyama, virtues and ethics. And we have 10 of them at least, peacefulness, truthfulness, and all the rest of it. So many virtues and ethics. We have many asanas, many postures, definitely. So many, dozens, hundreds. We have many pranayama techniques. So many. We have even different approaches to pratyahara, internalization. Yama Niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, internalization. Different ways of how to approach it. Then, in addition to those actually outer aspects of yoga, the Bahir Anga, as Patanjali categorizes them, we have the 3 inner aspects of the Eightfold Path. So 5 outer, 3 inner. Concentration, meditation, samadhi. Let's look closer there. Also there, we have many concentration techniques, not so well known in the modern studio industry, but actually if one looks in the scriptures, full of concentration techniques. The dharana is huge. Many concentration techniques. Then definitely we have many meditation techniques. This type of meditation, mantra meditation, heart meditation, this meditation, visualization, so many dhyana techniques. And what people are not really aware of, that there's also many different types of samadhi.
Right.
We just think like, it's then concentration, meditation, and then samadhi. And it's kind of like a one single thing, and there it is, and finished, done, over with. I found it, I'm done. But it's not like this. The closer we come, then we get to know not only different virtues and ethics, different asanas, different pranayama techniques, but we get to know also different samadhi aspects. And Patanjali describes them very thoroughly in his Yoga Sutras, also as more externalized with object, with form, and others more internalized, deeper, without form. So that just as a small side note to show and open the minds to, it's a much deeper journey inside than we would assume. All these astral worlds and all these deeper layers of absorption, different layers of bliss, different layers of emptiness. There's so much to discover in the inner world, and this transformation within. It's a follow-up on your point. The participant in the Bali Bliss Retreat said, I came here to deepen my understanding of the inner world. And that's an intuition that there is more in this internalization, interiorization, contemplation, absorption, in the stillness, where it's not really the fleshy action on the first view maybe happening, can also be energetic intensity, but there's an inner depth where these worlds and layers and layers and layers, manifold, kaleidoscopic nuances of this inner worlds can be unfolding, which is not so apparent, obvious on the beginning of the journey. But there's so much to discover there.
Definitely. And I feel like silence in general equally or perhaps even more misunderstood than energy as a doorway. Like, because it doesn't have anything to show. Like it's lacking all flash. Even just when I first moved to India, I would get messages from my friend, oh, it must be so exciting. What are you doing? Da, 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 da. It's like, I'm not doing anything. like a very, very, very simple life. There's no fireworks, but it's intensely beautiful and satisfying. And that's, I feel like, there's several aspects to stillness that are interesting. One is that it's not stillness. Like, that word stillness, it's like it means that there's no movement. Like, that's not true. Like, that's just a word that's there to attempt to capture the feeling of the incredible spaciousness and beauty and intelligence that's there in the realm beyond thought. So we need a word. So we say, it's stillness. And then someone else says, no, it's not stillness, it's silence. And then someone says, no, it's not silence, it's nothing.
It's nothingness. Or it's vibrant bliss. Like what now?
Which one is it? Is it nothing or is it vibrant bliss?
That paradox I was so inspired by that I used to actually have an email address, vibrating stillness.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the two aspects of it.
Yeah.
So in a way that it's like the two faces of the divine. There's the fullness, embodied, manifest Shakti aspect, which is the vibration, the highest frequency, the primordial sound, the Om, the initial root vibration, this hum of existence. So that's the embodied fullness aspect of the divine, vibrating. And the emptiness aspect is the stillness, the silence, the nothingness, the absorption, the transcendental, transcendent, beyond emptiness expression of the divine.
And even I feel like in that there's quite a bit of misunderstanding in the spiritual realms, like because it's like, okay, if my goal is silence and stillness, then I need to just like sit and do nothing all the time. Like, then the Bhagavad Gita is like, act.
Take action.
Like,
do what needs to be done.
Do what needs to be done. It's not just sitting around. And the reason it gives that impression is because in a weird way, it is sitting around. Like the absolute part of who you are. It's not doing anything. It's never going to do anything. Like, it's not moving. It's not going to come and do anything. It just is.
Even if there's movement.
No matter what
exactly
happens on top of it, it is there.
With a beautiful metaphor I received from a friend in my early 20s, walking on sand without leaving traces. This acting without acting.
Yeah.
As Krishna is suggesting in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, do the action, do what needs to be done. You're the right person in the right place to do the right thing. Stand up for the righteousness. Act, but with that detachment.
Yeah.
Be connected to the stillness, to the emptiness as the action happens.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal. Don't be identified. Yeah. So walking on sand, do the action, but don't leave traces without the ego. I was there. I did it. And because then we take the karma and then it gets messy. So do the action, but remain in the stillness at the same time.
And the stillness is like, we were talking about earlier, the prana itself is intelligent. Like the stillness also is intelligent. Like it's also witnessing every single thing that happens. And people think, wow, like that's not true for me. That is true for you whether you know it or not. It's like at night in deep sleep. How did you sleep? I slept well. Okay, there's no identity in deep sleep. Like you're not there as a kind of psychological personality to say that I slept well or I didn't sleep well. But some aspect of you knows absolutely what happened. So, okay, that's kind of absolute evidence that the profound silent intelligence of your spirit is present in every moment. And that's how I think yogis begin to demonstrate things that seem like they're impossible. Like two bodies of the same person appearing in two different places. Like from the physical reality, that's not a possibility. But if you look at it like through the soul's perspective, the soul created this body. Like if the soul was not here, this would not come into form. So is it such a shock that perhaps it could create a second one? Like it was fully responsible for this one, it still is fully responsible for this one. Like, is it completely out of the question that it could produce a second one? It's like, well, it made the miracle of producing this one. So what makes you think, what makes you so convinced that it can't make a second one? Like, it doesn't have any limitation of the physical realm. Now, that has to be taken with a grain of salt because, like, we are also embodied beings, and we kind of recognize the potentials of the realm in which we're mostly inhabiting right now. But that's the kind of thing that my teacher in India said, which struck me a lot. He said, basically, the book of your life is divided into 4 chapters. You've got the waking state, the dream state, the deep sleep state, and the state of Turiya. Turiya is the awareness of the soul. Everything's happening in that state. And yet most people, if you ask them, what is the content of the book of your life? They're only looking at the first chapter.
Exactly.
It's like, this is what happens in the waking state. That's a fraction. That is a tiny fraction of what you are. Like you, no matter who you are. Like if you're the worst mafioso and you're out there doing terrible things, that is still like the waking state consciousness, and the content of the waking state consciousness is a tiny fraction of your actual experience. And yet for most people, that's the whole book. It's like, what's the book of your life? Well, I woke up today and I felt this way and this happened and I met this person. It's like, that's just like
surface level, one of the aspects.
That's a tiny part of who you are. It's not unimportant. Tiny doesn't mean unimportant. Like, it's nice also. Like, it's very beautiful. Lots of beautiful things happen to us. But if you think that that's the end of the book, it's going to be a very unfulfilling book.
Let's briefly zoom into that to make it clear. So you were referring to 4 layers. The conscious waking state, known as the Jagarat, the conscious awareness, rational mind, active, doing its thing. And then second layer is the dream state, the Svapna, which corresponds at night with the rapid eye movement, REM sleep, and the astral body, astral projections, and lots of entities and aspects on this inner energetic realm. And then we have the deep sleep, so Jagrat, Svapna, Sushupti, the sleep without dreams or with little dreams, more quiet, absorbed, and peaceful in that manner. And then the fourth one you were referring to, following your teacher's chapters and aspects of existence. The fourth one, Turiya, literally translates as the fourth, which is the transcendent, beyond, absorbed stillness state, through which we go each and every day and night, these cycles of these 4 states. At nighttime, we are exploring also inevitably those other states, what you were referring to.
Except I want to just clarify for a moment and say that Turiya is not disappearing or appearing. Because people tend to think that it's like, it's also a state. It's not a state. It's like the screen.
Stateless state.
It's like the screen upon
background.
which everything's happening.
Yes.
And it's never, it cannot disappear.
Yeah.
Like if it did disappear, that's the end of the waking state, the dream state, and the deep
Exactly.
sleep
The
state.
background onto which it's
Everything's
all
happening.
happening. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. good. Time is soon up, but I got to follow through with
your secrets.
The initial intention of the secret. I tried to pull them out of you, and I wasn't so successful yet. So,
no, I think it's success.
But I gotta then at least tell some energetic transformation story from my side.
Okay, good.
So I'll get you onto some bonus teas later and try to get some other behind the scenes details out, which I'll share in some other context. So I'll get you on the record in some way. We'll see. But mentioning a personal anecdotal story, maybe just in a nutshell, how I was challenged on this journey from disbelief into experience, going beyond doubt. How I came into this yogic intensified practice is with a lot of doubt about energies. So I didn't really believe that they would exist.
Right.
I was kind of like, it's probably a speculation. It's
That's
an assumption.
common.
It's very common. Oh, it's like a new age fantasy, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of like you're just making it up. You're just kind of wishful thinking. You're just having a fantasy about it.
Yeah.
And in the alternative yogi communities, these people are whipping themselves up into some kind of storyline, frenzy, and subcultural assumption, which there's no real rock solid waterproof scientific evidence. Yes, there's hints, there's many good studies, very interesting pointers, but still we don't have like the full instrument which can perfectly measure it and so on. We don't have it, still not. So I'm like, so basically it doesn't exist. No, from this material Western mindset, I only believe what I can see, and then we cannot see, we cannot measure it really properly, so it seems to not exist. So I came from this blockheaded hypercritical mindset, and blocked my own development a lot, because no, I don't believe it. If I cannot see it, it doesn't exist. So then I'm not going to waste my time with it. And even if I try and I do these pranayama things, then I'm kind of like sabotaging my own experience, because it cannot exist. And if I come with that mindset, then it's going to be more difficult to feel anything, like how to develop sensitivity, receptivity, and allow the things to flow and unfold. If I'm kind of like, no, it cannot exist. Academic German blockhead is not really supporting that opening process. So that's where I came from decades ago. But then with the practice and intensified experience with the community, with the guidance, the teachers, the practices, slowly but surely things more and more were opening over the years and decades, and it became more and more, as we talked initially, undeniable, self-evident, and just too obvious to kind of like, no, I'm not just making it up. It's not just fantasizing and making it as a like assumption believed into existence. No, it's kind of like, it's tangible. So that comes from stronger and more subtle breathwork practices, which I explored both of them, going more in the dynamic, intensified kind of Kundalini yoga style, stronger hyperventilating breaths, extended retentions, holding the breath longer and longer, and more in this efforting approach, and some openings coming from that. And on the other hand, also, as you described, that frequently the subtle is undervalued and can be even more potent, coming also from the stillness perspective of absorption. And I still kind of have both approaches in my mindset and in my practice, having the strong, intense stuff, the flashy, more kind of fireworks type of approach. And over the years, I learned some techniques which give this kind of like, whoa, blowing away, mind-blowing intensity, and kind of like towards fainting and just like, whoa, oi, oi, oi. So I love those breathwork intensity practices. And then getting more skillful in moving the energies with the bandhas and the famous, as in Kundalini yoga, we do the bringing the prana down into the lower torso, mixing it there with the prana vayu with the apana vayu, and then the dynamite mixture coming back up and triggering those stronger energetic flows. Very flashy, very compelling in a way. Similar-ish, like advanced levels of the yogic breath work in the more intense approach. But I do value, similar to you, actually, the subtle and the stillness aspects even more, um, and give priority in my practice to the silent meditation, to the stillness, to that absorption. And took me years and years of regular 10-day silent meditation retreats. By now, like more than 2 dozen or 3 dozen of those silent retreats. But step by step, slowly going deeper and deeper. And now being able to drop in more easily, more deeply, quite intuitively, without much effort, as a, in a way, fruit of the years and decades of effort being put into it. So yeah, you go.
I mean, I like, that's the incredible thing about the divine romance. Like Nisargadatta, who we were talking about earlier, his teacher just came to him and said, "You are the divinity."
Exactly.
That's the end of the teaching.
I remember the quote. My teacher said, Nisargadatta is quoting, my teacher said, "Trust me, you are divine. Take it as the absolute truth."
Yeah.
And then he said, I did believe him. And
I actually think the quote is, "I had no reason not to disbelieve
him." Exactly. True. You're right. Exactly. And quickly noticed how wonderfully true and accurate his words were.
And within 3 days, it was finished.
Exactly.
Like his awareness of that absolute was settled. And it, which one is better? Neither one. Like, if it is that the great intelligence of life is playing as Devdas and Burkhard, it cannot be playing anything other than it wants to play. Like, you can't say the scriptwriter is wrong.